Rest of India is watching.
Tell me
Prime
something
Minister
else.
is
It's
watching,
now-
everybody is watching. We are dying there among ourselves. Then once you realize what is this, then you realize how this fall, and we should have a common ground to find a common good and deal with our differences.
You mentioned the government and you said the Prime Minister is watching. It's what, 20 days since your article was published in the Hindu? Have you had any response from the government of India? Have they got in touch with you to talk about what you've
That's
written?
the saddest part. It hurts, Karan. The Prime Minister went to Orissa on the 3rd June to check the crash victims. 3rd May, incidentally, 1 month before, they started. Not a single word. It hurts. I have been here in this Delhi for almost like 40 years, nearing now. And I have seen what is India, what is the notion of exclusion, the otherness of the India's northeast. It reminded me, it's not my student days. Even as a faculty, I've served for almost 30 years in 3 institutes, premier institute in this country. It makes me think there is a resistance to change. On the 75th year of this independence, we are talking about inclusions of Northeast into the history textbook. And then this happening, had this happened in Bihar or somewhere, the media, the parliamentarians, the rest of the country will not watch as there. So his silence is deeply troublesome.
The Prime Minister's silence.
And it really hurts.
It's not just that he hasn't visited, he hasn't said a word for 5 or 6 weeks.
It really hurts. I'm not angry. It really hurts.
Does it also show that he's actually indifferent or unconcerned?
When I said hurt, do you need to elaborate why I get hurt?
Because of the indifference and the lack of concern.
Many more. And in fact, he is also an epitome of the larger fault line between the rest of the country in the Northeast. That's what I think. You know, like including the reporters that this mainstream has been doing it, jumping into certain conclusion. It's very easy to fall into that, savior and solidarity with the marginalized, the idea of the tribe and so on.
Can you explain that point? Because I think it's interesting. The Prime Minister is the epitome of the larger fault line between the Northeast and the rest of the country. Can you explain that quickly?
That's what I'm saying, Ed. You are still 75th year of Indian independence. You are talking about inclusion of the history of the Northeast into the national textbook. You're talking still over 75 years. And now that this happened in Manipur, how many of you have a sleepless night here? People like me get affected, though I'm here. Many people, I'm sure that many of these children and students are very agitated. Their fathers, mothers, household has been killed, relatives have been killed. I can see that anger among these tribal students. I can see among the Meiteis as well.
But you can't see it in the Prime Minister of India.
Yeah, not only him, I'm saying that rest of the country, if you're worried that you would have been crying instead of, I'm sorry to say this.
The rest of the country treats Manipur and the Northeast
and including
as adopted
the media reporters. You would have been far more sensitive not to play games to the blame game. If you want to douse the flame, you will not try to be a savior of the tribal and then succumb to a particular position. You will not be a savior of the Meiteis as Hindu and then try to fuel the conflict. So the progressive elements within code is taking the position of tribal savior and then some people as savior of the Hindu Meiteis, and you in the mainstream is fueling this through these press reporters and others. You're not even careful about not naming people. So happy to name Meitei Arambai, Meitei this, but when it comes to many of the reporters, I told one of the Indian Express person, you don't even identify which insurgent, you only say militants and others. I don't want you to identify them. I don't want them to identify. You're playing games to that instead of helping. And this is a national problem. Manipur is part of this country. One should be helping. Instead of that, you are fueling this conflict through the reporters and others. And give me a chance. You do a reporter's analysis, content analysis of all the major newspapers. How many articles have been published by the Meiteis? How many has been published by the Kuki scholars and so on? And what kind of perspective these reporters and papers, editorials have taken it. Please look into it. You will find how you are not helping the conflict.
You're making a very important point, and I'll end with that. That the feeling that you have, and I imagine it's reflective of practically everyone in Manipur, is that at a time when we need help, the government has turned its back on us, the media is not understanding, they're inflaming, and Manipur and the Northeast are being treated as if they're not part of India.